Ever thought about a career working with animals? Becoming a veterinarian, something like that.
It's a dream job for so many people. Who wouldn't want to spend their days with furry friends?
Right. But it's probably a lot more than just puppy cuddles and kitten kisses, huh?
Oh, absolutely. It's a challenging field, requires a ton of dedication, and that's actually what makes this deep dive so fascinating. We're looking at this awesome report from the Life Skill Foundation all about what it really takes to be a vet.
The Life Skill Foundation.
Yep.
Okay. So who are they? Some big animal rights group.
They're actually based in Ahmedabad, India, and they focus on career guidance, especially for young students. This report in particular is geared towards students in grades 8 through 12. They even encourage parents and teachers to listen in.
Smart move.
Hmm.
Catch them while they're young and still figuring things out. But why a whole report on becoming a vet?
Because it's a big decision, right? And the Life Skill Foundation wants to make sure students and their families go in with a realistic picture. They highlight the good, the challenging, and everything in between. And one of the things I emphasize right away is the diversity of the field. Like, did you know there are multiple job zones within veterinary medicine?
Multiple job zones. Honestly, I always pictured vets mostly working in clinics.
That's a common misconception. And the report blows that out of the water. Yeah, you can start in a clinic assisting senior vets, but it branches out from there big time. You could specialize maybe in surgery or dive into animal behavior. You could even open your own practice eventually.
Wow, okay, so it's more than just working at a clinic.
Way more. The report even talks about opportunities in research labs, working on new treatments for animal diseases.
On research, like in a lab. I never even considered that.
Right, it's pretty cool. And that's not all. Imagine working in a wildlife park, treating injured animals, contributing to conservation efforts. How amazing would that be?
Okay, yeah, that's definitely not what I pictured when I thought veterinarian. This is way more interesting.
Right. And it highlights how important this report is, especially for young people trying to make a decision about their future.
Okay, rainforest adventures aside, let's get real for a second. What does it actually take to become a veterinarian?
It's definitely not a walk in the park, that's for sure. And the Life Skill Foundation, they're pretty upfront about that in their report. They go into detail about the educational path, and it starts pretty early on, actually, with your 10+2 exams.
So high school, basically.
Exactly. The report emphasizes focusing on science subjects from the get-go. Physics, chemistry, biology, that kind of thing. You got to have that strong foundation to even think about the next step, which is, of course, a bachelor's degree in veterinary science and animal husbandry.
Okay, makes sense. Brush up on the science, get ready for vet school. But how long are we talking here? 5 years? 6?
5.5, to be exact. A pretty rigorous program, not for the faint of heart. And it's not just hitting the books either. The report really stresses the importance of hands-on experience alongside all that academic stuff.
Oh, right. So like actually working with animals,
Yeah,
getting your hands dirty.
exactly. Internships, they're a huge part of the curriculum. You're working side by side with experienced veterinarians, applying everything you're learning in a real-world setting.
Yeah, it's one thing to read about treating a sick puppy. It's a whole other thing to actually do it, right?
100%. And keep in mind, graduating with your degree, that's not the finish line. You still need to get your license from the Veterinary Council of India before you can officially practice.
Okay, so it's a long road, demanding, lots of hard work, got it.
Yeah.
But what about the rewards, right? And I'm not just talking about puppy breath here. Does all this dedication translate into, a decent income?
That's a really good question, and it's something the report delves into. And honestly, it's not all doom and gloom on the salary front, especially if you're willing to put in the effort. Experience plays a big role, obviously, and so does specialization.
Specialization, like what? Becoming a cat-only vet or something?
It could be that specific, yeah. Or you could focus on surgery, maybe radiology, animal behavior. The more specialized you become, the more in demand you are, and that usually means a higher earning potential.
Right, of course. Makes sense. But let's talk numbers. What kind of salary are we actually talking about here?
So the report breaks it down pretty well. Fresh out of school, a new grad, you're probably looking at around 3 to 5 lakhs per year, especially in government jobs or private clinics.
Not bad at all for a starting salary.
Not bad at all. But then as you get some experience under your belt, move into that mid-level zone, that's where specializing really starts to pay off. The report suggests you could be earning anything from, say, 6 to 12 lakhs annually, especially if you've got that niche skill set or maybe even open your own practice like we talked about.
So the more you know, the more you earn. Gotcha. But what about those animal lovers out there who, maybe being a full-on vet isn't their thing? Are there other options, other paths they can explore?
Oh, absolutely. The report actually has a whole section dedicated to that, exploring related careers. And
Yeah.
some of them you might be surprised.
Like what? Give me an example.
Yeah.
Well, you know me, always been fascinated by animal behavior. Is that like a real career option?
Yeah.
Could I actually be an animal behaviorist?
You totally could. In fact, the report even mentions that specifically being an animal behaviorist. It's a whole thing, working with all kinds of animals, domestic, wild, you name it, to understand their behavior patterns.
So cool. What kind of stuff would you do?
Oh, it could be anything, really. You could
Yeah.
train dogs, work with animals in a zoo setting, even help out with conservation efforts, studying animal behavior in the wild.
Wow, see, that's what I'm talking about. So many possibilities I never even knew existed.
Right. And that's just one example. The report also talks about becoming a zoologist, which, if you're into the science behind animal life, could be right up your alley. Zoologists work in all sorts of areas: research, conservation, education. They're really contributing to our knowledge of the animal kingdom.
Okay, so we've established there are tons of options for animal lovers out there. But let's circle back to our veterinarians for a sec. The report also tackles some of those, like, common myths about the profession. For example, I've heard some people say that vets don't make nearly as much money as doctors who treat humans. Is there any truth to that?
It's a little more complicated than a simple yes or no. Starting salaries, yeah, they might be lower compared to like specialized human doctors. But this report really emphasizes that experienced vets, especially if they own their own practice or have specialized skills, they can earn a really good living. Remember those figures we talked about earlier?
Right, upwards of 15 to 20 lakhs a year for the top dogs, so to
Yeah.
speak.
Exactly. So yeah, it's not like you're going to become a millionaire overnight, but with passion, dedication, and smart career choices, a veterinarian can build a super rewarding career, both financially and in terms of making a difference for animals.
Okay, last question. For all our listeners who are totally inspired by this deep dive and want to, keep learning, what does the report recommend?
The Life Skills Foundation, they're really big on students reaching out to them directly. They actually offer personalized career counseling, which I think is so valuable. They can answer specific questions, give guidance, even connect students with practicing vets so you can hear about their experience firsthand.
That's fantastic. And for anyone listening who's thinking, okay, I'm in, how do I get in touch? Their contact details are right here in the episode description. Don't be shy. Reach out. Explore your passion. Oh, there you have it. We just took a deep dive into the world of veterinary medicine, all thanks to that awesome report from the Life Skill Foundation. It's clearly a career path full of challenges for sure, but also incredible rewards. And most importantly, it's driven by, that deep love and respect for animals.
Couldn't agree more. And who knows, maybe someone listening right now will be the next big veterinarian, researcher, or animal advocate. The future is wide open.
No, wouldn't that be something? And hey, for those of you out there who are more into like crunching numbers, analyzing data, that kind of thing, our next deep dive is exploring the world of a statistician. Could that be your calling? Until then, happy exploring, everyone.